Welcome back to our channel, From Eden to Shiloh, a Christ-centered journey through the story of redemption, from the garden of God to the coming of his king. So God has delivered his people from Egypt with signs and wonders. He has led them by a pillar of cloud and fire, and he has come down to dwell with them in the tabernacle. So Israel is now in the wilderness, in the desert, barren. And obviously we know that deserts are barren, they're dry. It's very difficult land with no food, with no water, and no natural resources. But God will teach them right there in the desert. God will teach his people dependence, trust, obedience, and faith through his daily provision. Hunger in the wilderness is rampant, right? Exodus 16, we're going to see that. Not long after leaving Egypt, the people realize that they have no food. Their faith, freshly strengthened at the Red Sea, now quickly fails them. They grumble against Moses and Aaron, and they say, "We wish we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt." Imagine. At least we had bread there, they said. We had bread there to eat. Exodus 16:3. Their fear blinds them to God's faithfulness. And yet, instead of judgment, God responds with compassion. And we'll see this over and over again. He says, "I will rain bread from heaven for you." Exodus 16:4. In the morning, a fine flake-like substance would appear on the ground, and people would call it manna. And that actually just means, what is this? It was like coriander, it says. It tasted like honey wafers. It appeared fresh every morning, and it spoiled if they tried to hoard it. It doubled on the sixth day so that they wouldn't have to do it on the Sabbath. And it ceased the moment that Israel entered, stopped falling once Israel entered the promised land. So this daily miracle taught Israel, God's people, that God is their provider, that they must trust him day by day. They cannot live by worldly security. Obedience matters, and God knows their needs before they ask. Jesus later points to the manna, and he says, "I am the bread of life," in John 6:3-5. The manna was just a picture of Christ. Christ is the substance. That evening, God sent quail into the camp. So many of them that it was just all over the ground, right? So this miracle shows that God provides not only what is necessary, but what is good. Even when Israel complained, God remained patient. Grace overwhelms their grumbling. And so the grumbling continues. Now they needed water. Soon after receiving the manna, Israel faces another trial. There is no water. The desert is dry. It's deadly, right? The people quarrel and accuse Moses again. Poor Moses. "Why did you bring us out of Egypt to kill us with this thirst?" Their anger is not really against Moses. It's against God. Yet God, in astounding mercy, commands Moses and says, "Strike the rock and water shall come out of it." That's Exodus 17:6. Moses strikes the rock, and sure enough, water gushes out of it. Enough for millions. Imagine. This was not just water. It was grace flowing from judgment. The rock was struck so the people could live. Paul says in the New Testament that rock was Christ in 1 Corinthians 10:4. Christ, the true rock, was struck for our salvation, and from him flows living water, right? And so that was the one time that they needed water. Now what about the second time? The tragedy at Meribah in Numbers 20:1-13. Years later, near the end of the wilderness journey, the people again grumbled and complained about water. This time, God commands Moses, "Speak to the rock," in Numbers 20:8. But Moses, frustrated, tired, worn out, strikes the rock this time. He struck it again, and water flows because God is faithful. But Moses' disobedience had consequences. He will not enter the promised land. Why was this so serious? Because the rock was a symbol Christ was struck once for our salvation. He was not struck again. Moses disobeyed. Now we speak to the rock and receive his grace. To strike the rock again distorted God's redemptive picture. Everything in that wilderness points to Christ. So the manna, Jesus is the bread of life. Jesus says, your fathers ate manna and died, but whoever eats of the bread I give will live forever. John 6:49-51. Christ is our daily nourishment, our spiritual life, eternal sustenance. We live on him, not ourselves. He is water from the rock. He is the living water. To the woman at the well, Jesus says, whoever drinks the water I give will never thirst again. John 4:14. Christ was struck at the cross, and from him flows salvation. Now we speak to the rock and receive grace upon grace. God's daily provision in our lives, the Holy Spirit leading us as manna came and comes each morning, so the Spirit provides guidance, comfort, and strength each day for us, the believers. The wilderness provision teaches us that we live by God's hand, not our own. This has been From Eden to Shiloh, the unfolding story of God's redemption from creation to Christ. Join us next time as we continue our story through the book of the Bible. Take care.